So then we have this unique encounter, a temptation of Yeshua,
Yeah.
temptation of Jesus, where Satan himself comes and talks to Christ while
This is,
Christ is in the desert fasting for 40 days.
that's beautiful, man. This is a missed opportunity. If you'd used the Luke passage, that would have been perfectly fitting for this Bedouin from Tatooine. So I'm just giving you a hard time. I love the Satan character here that you got represented. It looks like one of those Bedouins from Tatooine.
Okay, gotcha. Matthew
Sorry.
4:8-9. You're good. Again, the devil took him, Christ, to a very high mountain and showed him all the kingdoms of the world and their glory. And he said to him, all these things I will give you if you fall down and worship me. So, a very high mountain. We're going to see this mountain terminology used quite a bit. But Sean, in the first century AD, wasn't there so much of the earth populated that there's not a mountain attached to the ground tall enough for anybody to go to the peak of it and see all the populated kingdoms of the world in first century AD?
Not even close. Like you had,
even with a flat plane of the earth, even though the earth is not a ball.
I mean, so many people immediately try to think, well, he must have taken him to Mount Hermon, which is 7,000 feet in height, to see all this stuff, right? He could have looked over the Euphrates and saw the the Babylonians or I guess at that point the Persians. He could have looked to the right and saw the Syrians, or he could have saw in the beginning of the Mediterranean Sea where you would see the Empire of Tyre, or even possibly look far enough only on a flat plane, look far enough to see Egypt and Cairo, right? And that whole area and the pyramids
on a clear day. Yeah.
On a super clear day. But that's just a sliver of the kingdoms of the earth at that time.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of people might think that, it was just, this only small area was populated at that time. Only 2,000 years ago, guys. The earth was pretty populated. We see in stories well before that they were traveling to Asia and different places.
Oh yeah, just research the dynasties of China. Like they went way back. Same thing with Korea and Japan. Like they had huge kingdoms way back. So it makes you wonder, how do you reconcile this statement?
There might be some additional details that will help provide something to suggest maybe what we're talking about here and why this wouldn't be a mountain like you see every day when you think of a mountain attached to the earth. It's a very high one. Matthew 4:10. Then Jesus said to him, "Go, Satan, for it is written, you shall worship the Lord your God and serve him only." So we got a Kami's lookout from Dragon Ball Z with a dome around it, double gated dome maybe even. And then you got Christ and a darkened angel figure here. And Christ is telling him to go. Wonder what happens after he says that.
It's pretty wild, huh?
It is.
So Satan flees from him.
He did. Matthew 4:11. Then the devil left him, and behold, angels came and began to minister to him, to Christ. So could it be, guys, that this mountain was so high up in the sky and a mortal Christ pre-resurrection was not yet able to fly? Yeah, he could walk on water. He could perform miracles, turn water into wine. But I don't think we see him flying pre-resurrection. So if he needed angels to minister to him so that he could get down, could that be why?
So the other two temptations, he didn't have any angels come minister to him.
No.
So it's kind of an interesting point here. And I would suggest it is because he's not just at the top of a mountain. It's because he's in a place where he couldn't physically get down.
Yeah. I think that was a strong point about this. And it could be associated with any character. Scripture says it was Satan specifically.
That's right.
So I think that's a unique characteristic here to attribute to this character. Luke 10:17-18 goes on to say, then the 70 returned with joy, talking about the disciples that were sent out, right, 2 by 2. They came back to Christ after that event where the temptation happened, and they say, Lord, even the demons are subject to us in your name. And Christ said to them, it's nothing, guys. I saw Satan fall like lightning from heaven. So a lot of people look at this verse and say, yeah, Satan was kicked out of heaven. Remember, that happened before the Garden of Eden. That's why he was down there to deceive Eve. Again, we don't believe in that narrative. That's not what Scripture talks about.
Yeah, the word heaven has a definition, and it doesn't always mean above the firmament. It can mean just where the birds fly, high up in the sky above.
It can.
So at what point was Yeshua in a place to see Satan fall from heaven. And I think Wes and I are both putting forward it was from Matthew 4, Luke 4.
Right. When he was taken up to this great and very great and tall mountain to see all the kingdoms of the earth.
Yep.
Which we would speculate and put forth that I don't think it's much to speculation. Like we said, there's not a mountain high enough, but there is something that was called Mount Meru to the Hindus in India. There is a Mount Olympus to the Greeks. Let's check out what else is said about these places. So we know that as we put forth in episode 46, the serpent of old, the king of the Egyptian pantheon of gods, the hawk-headed solar deity known as Ra, is who the Hebrews referred to as the rebellious angel Azazel, called Satan. Bodorah, Mount Meru, Mount Olympus, Asgard. We're here to tell you it's the same pantheon of gods with the same king of that pantheon being Azazel, Satan, the devil, serpent of old, the dragon that deceives the whole world. And this is the same location depicted in different cultures as a place in the sky where Satan lives.
So am I to suggest or think that this is where Satan took Christ for that last temptation?
That's what we've been saying. Yes, sir.
That's amazing.